Center for the Ethiopian Educational Information and Communication Technology presents Educational Satellite Television Programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to today's lesson on authority and power. In our last lesson, we learned about the differences between parliamentary and presidential democratic systems. In this lesson, we will turn our attention to the differences between authority and power. We will talk about the sources of authority and power, and we will discuss the problems that arise when power is exercised without authority. Students, we must begin by defining authority and power. Take a moment to write a definition for each. Make sure you think about the difference between authority and power. Do your best, students.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Well done, everyone. Let us define these terms together. Authority and power are political concepts related to governance. Authority refers to the legal power vested in a public agency and its members to execute the functions for which it was organized. Power is the force or ability to compel others to do what the power holder desires. Let us continue to think about the meaning of authority and power. In a democracy, authority rests with the people. Democratic representatives are legally authorized to act in the interests of the people. Representatives are given power to implement policy, create and enforce laws, and direct the political processes of the country. They can exercise their power within the limits imposed upon them by the people. If government representatives act outside of the legal limitations imposed upon them, they are exercising power without authority. Students, take a moment to write down an example of the exercise of authorized power. Then, write down an example of power being exercised without authority. What is the chief difference between them?
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back. I'm sure you thought of excellent ideas. One example of authorized power is the police. The police force is an institution legalized by the government to keep the peace and to enforce law and order. When a police officer exercises power to control a situation, the power is used within the legal limitations of the police force. If one person strikes another person in an argument, this is an example of power being used without authority. Because democracy stresses the equality of all people, nobody has the right to injure or harm anybody else. A strong person may be very physically powerful, but he or she is not legally authorized to use that strength to hurt or intimidate others. When a government functions within the confines of the Constitution and receives its mandate from the people, it exercises legitimate authority and power. The democratic Constitution legalizes the government's authority to act. In a case of legitimate governance, the government has moral authority over the people. Undemocratic governments practice their power to rule, but this power has not been authorized by the people. This means that the people become the subjects of the controlling power. Students, have you ever heard the expression, "Power corrupts"? What do you think this means?
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Hello again. The expression power corrupts means that when someone has power, it is easy for the power to be abused. Suppose a person takes over the power of running a country. We call this person a dictator. At first, perhaps the dictator wishes to use his or her power to benefit the people. However, it is surprisingly easy for the dictator to start using power illegitimately. As soon as the dictator realizes that he or she has supreme power, the dictator can do whatever he or she likes because no one can object. There are many historical examples of the ways dictators have been corrupted by power. You can see some photographs of famous examples on the screen. Let us consider the difference between a dictator and a prime minister or a president within a democracy. In a democracy, a leader is given authority by the electorate or by the people who vote for that leader or for the political party. In other words, a prime minister is given authority because the representatives have voted in favor. Similarly, a president gains authority by being voted into power by the people. The prime minister or president is now authorized to exercise the powers of leadership. Students, this has been a very important lesson. We have discussed the difference between authority and power, and we have learned about the relationship between authority and power. We have discussed legitimate and illegitimate ways of exercising power. In our next lesson, we will continue to think about authority and power, focusing on the relationship between authority and accountability. Until next time, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.